All right, welcome back, vertical followers. Just actually give me 1 second here.
And Fort Langley traffic, helicopter Robinson R66, Golf Echo Alpha Kilo, just over 264th interchange at 1,200 feet, and going to be transiting to the northwest towards Pitt Meadows.
All right, today, you guys, we're talking about...
Thank you so much.
Today we're talking about busy airspace, and that's something that's, I think it's very important to take a little bit of time, just a minute, to kind of think about and then do a little bit of pre-planning, because I think, as I've talked about in other episodes, you know, being prepared and planning ahead is a very important thing, because you don't want too many things stacking up, too many factors stacking up against you, and then ending up not being able to fly the aircraft because you're too busy doing other things. And so we're actually in a very unique area here in the Fraser Valley, west coast of British Columbia, right near Vancouver. And I'm just going to kind of pan this around and show you guys a few different things here of the different airspace that we're dealing with. So we've got a couple of really, really busy training areas. This one over here is called the Glen Valley training area. Just over there is the Sumas training area and the Harrison training area, kind of the mountains up in there, which is really nice. But I just left Abbotsford airspace. Now in Canada, Class Charlie airspace is kind of the highest class of airspace that we have, similar to Class Bravo airspace in the United States. And so I just left a Class Charlie airspace, which is a fairly big international airport in Abbotsford there. Now, just over here is the Langley Regional Airport, and this is Class Charlie as well. Another very busy airport. It's not international or anything. We don't have any airlines going in and out of there, but it is very busy because it has lots of flight training and things like that going on, and a mixed variety of flying, so helicopters and fixed wing, so quite a bit of activity going on. So there's a smaller control zone, a 3 nautical mile control zone right over there, whereas Abbotsford is 5 nautical miles. It's irregular shape, so it's a little bit bigger as well. Then we've got a private airport just out in front of us here, Fort Langley Airport. I'm just going to do another radio call here.
Fort Langley traffic, helicopter Robinson R66, Echo Alpha Kilo, 1,200 feet, just down 2 miles to the southeast of Fort Langley Airport. Going to be transiting overhead at Fort Langley en route towards Pitt Meadows.
So we're going to be flying right over this. It's, again, a private strip, but they do have jets flying in and out of here. This is regional jets, and they have a couple helicopters in and out of here and so forth as well. So can get busy, especially when you combine that with all the traffic, all the fixed wing flight training traffic that happens over in that training area right there in Glen Valley. Then just off in front of us here, we have the Pitt Meadows control zone, which is another Class Charlie airspace, another 3 nautical mile radius control zone there. Off a little further in the distance over there is Boundary Bay Airport, another Class Charlie. That's a very, very busy one as well, with no commercial airliners that go in and out of there, but lots of regional traffic, lots of busy stuff going on with helicopters, with fixed wing flight schools and all those kind of things. Then we have Vancouver International, which obviously is a big airspace. That's a 7 nautical mile zone with multiple other zones and terminal control airspace on top of that. And Abbotsford has terminal control on top of that as well, so a bit of extra stuff there. So that's obviously a very busy airspace. And just to the right of that is actually Vancouver Harbor, and so that's another one where they have lots of float traffic, lots of helicopters. They've got a heliport there, and lots going on in that airspace. And then when you just hop across the pond, we have a little bit of water over there, and then we get over to Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island has Victoria Airport as well, which also is another international airport. Lots of airlines going in and out of there, mixed traffic, and then terminal airspace on top of that. And so that kind of sums up this part of the valley. Then we start heading to the east a little bit. We have Chilliwack Airport, which is quieter, but still has quite a bit of traffic, and then out to Hope, where things start to get very quiet. But what's important is that you have lots of airspace in a very dense area if you want to be flying through the Fraser Valley here. And this is like other parts of the world, obviously, as well, many other parts. And so you have lots of work that you need to be doing. So I'm going to just dial over the frequency here to 126.3, and I'm going to make a quick call to Pitt Meadows Tower. Just give me 1 second here. So we're just waiting to see if anybody else is talking, and then we're going to give a call.
Pitt Meadows Tower, good morning, helicopter Robinson R66, Golf Echo Alpha Kilo.
Golf Echo Alpha Kilo, good there.
Good day, Echo Alpha Kilo is, we're just coming 5 miles to the east right now. We're at 1,300 feet. I'd like to transit the northern portion of your zone westbound en route to Vancouver Harbor.
Echo Alpha Kilo, squawk it in, altimeter 299.3, climb to maintain 1,500 feet westbound.
Okay, there's the ident, and we're climbing to maintain 1,500 feet, and we'll follow the low heat eastbound if that works, or correction, westbound.
Echo Alpha Kilo identified and affirmative.
check that traffic for Echo Alpha Kilo.
Awesome. Okay, so here's the piece of advice that I'd like to give. Is obviously I've been flying in this valley my entire career. I started out here. I know the area very, very well. But I can tell you that when I was a very low-time pilot, I was actually terrified to fly in the Fraser Valley here. I would avoid all the control zones. Like my life depended on it. I would spend most of my time out in the mountains, flying around out there because I found it very scary. You know, people talk about big airports and terminal airports and things like that, international, and I found it something that was intimidating and something I didn't want to spend a lot of time in, so I actually didn't. And it only was, you know, when I became an instructor and I was teaching students and I had to obviously go into this airspace a lot, that I would spend a lot more time in this different airspaces. And I had to do pipeline patrol, which takes me through all of these airports that I just mentioned, and you know, lots of different things, charter flights and so forth. And so I got very used to it. And what I found with time and practice is that when you do your homework, and you have, obviously, to begin with, you're going to have a list of all those airports, the control zones. Obviously, modern navigational apps is very, very helpful, things like ForeFlight and so forth, where they can actually show you on an app where you are in relation to the airspace and so forth. If you're just using maps, obviously it can be a little bit more challenging as well. And so having the homework of knowing where the airspace is, what the different frequencies are, what the ATIS is, what the ground frequency, the tower frequency, all those different types of things, and then having those on your knee or wherever you need to, somewhere that's easily accessible. But then also doing a little bit of memorization work as well, getting to know the airports, which runways they have, what the numbers of the runways are, what the size of the airspace is, some different landmarks and references to know, okay, this is the boundary of that control zone, this is where I'm allowed to get to before I enter this airspace, and then having those frequencies kind of dialed and ready. Obviously, another thing that's very helpful, if you have it, is to have 2 radios, so you can dial up the next frequency on the backup radio, the secondary radio. That's I find a very useful thing as well. I do that quite often, but some of the helicopters we fly in don't have 2 radios, and so you can't really do that. But being prepared and ready, having always the next frequency that you're going to need dialed up on the backup so that you're ready to just swap to that, and kind of always being one step ahead. And that's really the big thing, because if you're getting caught, if you're circling outside a control zone, you're searching, trying to figure out what the frequency is, you're calling, you don't really have any information about that control zone or that tower, who you're talking to, what you're going to say, that can be very difficult. And so obviously local knowledge is very helpful, but doing your homework can actually give you that local knowledge as well. So that's the lesson for today. Be prepared, do your homework, and busy airspace doesn't have to be scary. And that's what I'd love to say. You know, now I fly through here, I've got all the frequencies memorized for all the different airports, I know where all the control zones start and end and so forth, and so it's not a scary process, it's actually a very fun process. And talking to control towers is actually very fun. You know, they're just people, they're humans on the other end of that radio, and so it's fun to talk to them, and it's fun to be able to communicate and do the things that you need to. You just have to be prudent, diligent, do your homework, and know the things that you need to. So that's the lesson for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll talk to you guys on the next one.